Okay, we're with David from Ecolab, and he's showing us the new system that we've installed here at Brook Point.
This is your Ecolab Pure Comfort Chlorinator system. How this basically works is your pool has salt, solar salt, that you put into the pool water. It dissolves, and then this system converts that salt or the sodium molecules over to chlorine molecules. It happens in that chlorinator stack. That chlorinator stack is electrified, and those fins that are inside of it, actually when the water goes through this system, these fins inside convert the sodium over to chlorine molecules, and then it runs to the pool, and that's what chlorinates, and the chlorine molecules are what sanitize the water. Now what happens is with hard water, we have hard water, which is the calcium that's in that pool water, and over time that calcium will start to build up on these fins. So from a maintenance standpoint, we want to clean that out from time to time.
How often is time to time?
I recommend weekly, once a week. Once a week. But we'll come back around to show you how to do that. So the chlorinator stack converts the sodium that's in your water over to chlorine. Now the water has to have a certain amount of sodium in there, but there's a test kit, which we'll address later, on how to test to see how much sodium is in the water, so that this can properly convert the sodium molecules over to chlorine. The next part of the system is your acid pump. This acid pump takes a muriatic acid and water mixture that is stored down in the storage tank. That helps the pH level in the water. So what happens is, as your pH level increases, the muriatic acid mixture, the sensor cell or the controller senses that, and it will add that muriatic acid mixture to the water to bring the pH level down as it increases. This muriatic acid mixture is 4 gallons of water to 1 gallon of muriatic acid. You always add the muriatic acid later, and I'll come back around to that when we discuss how to refill this and replenish this with more muriatic acid. Up here is the generator. This is the Pure Comfort generator that energizes the fins for the chlorine stack in order to convert the sodium over to chlorine. You have 2 yellow lights on here, and they're basically just indicating that power is going to the generator and the generator is operational. The next 2 components of the monitoring system, this is your controller interface, and this board is basically the brains of the operation. There's a phone line that runs to it, and that communicates. That allows the controller to communicate with our remote monitoring center. The remote monitoring center has a mainframe computer where it is keeping information from this device, so that if there's an emergency situation, for example, if this computer seems to sense that it has a problem, it has the ability to call out to our remote monitoring center, ask for help. The remote monitoring center will give it its feedback, send it via the phone line to the computer, and try and bring everything back into check. Okay? This device here is the sample cell. And what this does, this takes the water as it's circulating through your pool, diverts some of that water over to this sample cell, where it's reading your pH level and your chlorine parts per million, or ppm range, and then that sample is these probes are feeding information to the computer and telling the computer if it needs to make some adjustments. For example, if the chlorine will go too high, if the chlorine level were to go too high, it would send information to turn off the chlorine stack. That way it won't make more chlorine. Or if the pH level is too low, then it turns the acid pump off, or if the pH is too high, it turns the acid pump on to bring it down. That, in a nutshell, is how that system works. There's also we also have some cheater flashcards for you that are here, so you can feel free to read through these on what should be done in order to better maintain your water quality going to the pool. And that's essentially how this system works in its generalized operation. okay? Now, this computer board allows me access if we needed to manually make some adjustments. However, that was pretty commonplace when this system was first installed here because we didn't have the phone line run. Now that we have the phone line run and it's able to communicate back and forth with my remote monitoring system, we don't have to make those adjustments nearly as often. Remote monitoring can call in or it can call out both ways, and they can help to adjust that. So in the early days when we didn't have the phone line, it was not uncommon for me to come down here and we have a red alarm light right down here. If you see green in this controller, it's working fine, it's making its adjustments, and it doesn't have any emergency alerts. And emergency alerts are if your chlorine is too high, if it's too low. That can be a challenge for example, too high chlorine can result in your guests, the bathers, being uncomfortable, discoloration of bathing suits. So that's an alarm. We want to make sure it's addressed and the computer isn't able to respond to that in a timely enough fashion. If it cannot correct the problem on its own, it will alarm and it'll send you an alert saying, I need help. I need human intervention. If it's too low and it can't pick the levels up where it wants it, it will send an alert. The alarm will come on. It's not an audible, it's just a red light. Because nobody's going to hear it down here in the pump room anyway. And it'll send a fax to the property and say, I need some human intervention. That's basically what the alarms are about.
Now right now it says that the ppm is 1.25 and it's set to 4.0. Why is it not at 4.0
Well,
and that system not on?
Because it's right now, it could be if the fin has, I've noticed that it's got some chlorine buildup on there. So it could be that the fins need to be cleaned off. And so if the calcium builds up on the fin, then it can't break through the calcium to convert the sodium over to chlorine. So that's why we need to clean those fins on a routine basis. And I always recommend if you can clean them once a week, that it won't hurt anything.
Okay. Now is that with a, are you speaking that with a busy pool or?
All the time regardless. To clean them.
Yes, I recommend it should be done on a weekly basis.
Because it's going to circulate through there whether it's lots of people or no people.
It's still going to circulate through it. And then with this monitoring, the water will always be going through there with the sodium.
It has nothing to do with the population.
Exactly. Until this controller turns on those fins and gets a notice that an indicator that it needs to turn that converter on, then the water just goes right by it and it doesn't do anything.
Because I noticed that right now the controller is not on, and it should be because it's below 4.0 in the chlorine level. And what you're saying is it's probably because this is dirty.
It could be because that is dirty, and we've always had a buildup on calcium. Okay. I don't know when the last time that Carrie cleaned it. Okay. However, with more people involved, that's where the procedures will have to be more consistent.
What we'll have to do is we'll have to come up with a checklist on how, like a piece of paper when it was last done.
Yep. Now when we go over the cleaning procedures on how to clean, and it's not that complicated. We're basically just cleaning out inline strainers.
Yep.
And then cleaning off the fins, which that's going to be easy enough to do. Okay. You can do all of that in one visit. Okay. So it's not like it has to be staggered.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the process of cleaning the fin?
And that's what
we're going to address that on a different video,
yeah,
apparently.
That's right. Okay.